From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Now, coming up in the bulletin, Chinese nationals engaged in illegal small-scale mining voluntarily opt to return to their home country. Former VRA chief executive challenges utility companies to justify their claims for tariff increases that will have consumers paying more than 3 times what they pay now. Government denies claims former airport security chief arrested in the U.S. is a financier of the NDC. Cross-examination of EC chairman in election petition hearing continues with questions about the essence of serial numbers on ballot papers and pink sheets. And manager of Accra hotel targeted in GRA distress action for taxi fault, assault reporter covering the exercise. All these plus sports, showbiz and international news coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
More than 200 Chinese nationals involved in small-scale mining here in Ghana are said to have opted to return to their home country, having witnessed the ongoing crackdown on the activities of their fellow nationals engaged in the same trade. Joy News caught up with them at the offices of the Ghana Immigration Service here in Accra.
Some of them we know have also taken advantage of the unapproved routes. Those are not very many as we keep investigating. Majority of those we have arrested usually use the legitimate entry points. It's just that their conduct becomes illegitimate.
On Monday morning, the Chinese nationals converged at the premises of the Immigration Service from the Ashanti and Central regions to begin the repatriation process. There are 42 approved entry points, and he explained how some of these Chinese get into the country and begin mining illegally.
Most of them come through the border legitimately. So they come in for, let's say, business meeting, construction, you name it. After they have arrived, their Ghanaian partners then take them to the fields where they end up mining. So what then happens by immigration interpretation is that even though they have arrived legitimately, by their actions and by their conduct, they have become illegitimate. Because the condition for their arrival as visitors is that when you stay for 60 days and employment is prohibited. So if employment is prohibited and you find yourself working in the mines, obviously you've breached the conditions of your arrival.
He said though the GIS has been constantly lambasted for taking too long to act, they are doing their best with the limited logistics available to them.
There are times when the terrain, especially where they are located, is difficult to reach. You need to mobilize, you need a lot of resources to go in. And I believe the issue of small-scale mining is not just a Ghana Immigration Service matter. We only come in when foreigners are involved. But it is an issue that I believe Ghana is looking at very seriously, especially considering the environmental degradation, the pollution of water, forest, etc. Our role in there is to ensure that foreigners found in that area are flushed out.
On the arrest made on Sunday morning, Francis Palmdetti says all of them were West African nationals who were not in possession of their passports at the time of their arrest.
So we would have to do initial screening, find out, one, how they entered the country, two, which countries they're coming from. We'll have to liaise with their embassies or the countries they have mentioned, those embassies, to also come and do their screening to establish whether indeed they're nationals of that country. Once that process is done and we know where they're coming from, then we can think about where to repatriate them to.
He also mentioned that they are collaborating with the Chinese embassy to handle the situation because the numbers are increasing by the day.
The Chinese authorities are also concerned about the numbers. We also think that the earlier and the faster we deal with this matter, the better, because our facilities are inundated with the numbers. And so we are collaborating with the Chinese embassy. They've given us an undertaking that they would take custody of some of them, host some of them, but those they are hosting are those actually on bail. And as and when we need them, they'll provide them.
He, however, assured that the GIS is working around the clock to get tickets to carry out the repatriation.
The Ghana Urban Water Limited has indicated it will soon spill water at the Wager Dam. It explains the move has become necessary as a steady rise in the water in the dam's reservoir with the onset of the rainy season is threatening the facility. Joining us is Fosu Ajemfi, who visited the site. However, reports residents likely to be affected in the spillage are not so keen on relocating.
Residents living in and around the Wager treatment plant have had to contend with the seasonal rains and the spillage of excess water annually. These communities are the most threatened once the spill gates are opened.
As at last Saturday, the level of water at the dump was 42 feet high, but in the space of 3 days, the level of water has risen to 46 feet high.
The Ghana Water Company says the steady rise in the water level means spillage is imminent.
We are giving prior notice because we wouldn't be able to tell. Now the level is 47 feet, and that is also the maximum operating level. Okay, so if there are shocks within the dam, then it means we need to spill. And I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 6 to 24 hours it will start spilling, because even if you look at the weather, you could tell that it's raining upstream, and there's a possibility of us spilling any moment from now.
While some of the residents fully aware of what lies in store with the opening of the floodgates are making preparations to stay clear as has been advised, others will rather wait for the worst.
It happened before, but now at this mooring, this now, if it happens, we have to find a way of going. Either we'll go or we'll stay. So you stay, but because we didn't have any place to go, it's Accra. We are from far away, came here, so we can't go back to our this thing. All our works are here, so we have to live here.
But still, the table see inside one. What they can do to help us here is to widen the drain here and have a permanent drain flowing downwards into the river.
Edmond Kujo is the assemblyman for the Oblogo electoral area.
It's a river defense that we have made so far. When the rain is coming, then we open. When the river is coming, then we close it. I'm appealing to Ghana Water Company. You should spill it in the night. By 6 o'clock time, everybody is awake, and when we start something coming, and then we know how best we can solve the problem.
The communities are meanwhile appealing to government to help complete the temporary defense structure started as a permanent solution to the perennial problem.
Robbie. Now, the presidency has ordered investigations into the activities of the National Identification Authority, NIA. The Minister of State at the presidency in charge of development authorities, Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, who confirmed this to the Daily Graphic, said a 4-member committee, including a commissioner of the Public Services Commission, had been tasked with investigations. He said while investigations were ongoing, the NIA had been advised to suspend all major activities, including the mass registration exercise currently ongoing in the northern region. Dr. Ahmed said issues to be investigated include the reasons for the tardy distribution of the Ghana card and other challenges impeding the operations of the authority. He said it was prudent that major activities were suspended while investigations were ongoing to ensure that the work of the investigative committee was not prejudiced. The directive by the presidency is however said to have resulted in some confusion among staff of the NIA overseeing the registration exercise in the northern region. The registration exercise in the region began on Tuesday, May 28, 2012 and ended in the first zone on June 6, 2013. The first zone includes the central and eastern Gonja, Nanumba South and North, Yendi and Zabzugu Tatali districts. Mass registration exercises of the NI involve the massive deployment of personnel and logistics, as well as extensive public education programs on local FM stations to sensitize residents to where to register and what to do. The directive to suspend the exercise therefore may confuse residents of the districts in Zone 2 and Zone 3 who will next benefit from the registration. The directive will come with the additional cost of the demobilization of equipment and staff, when the original plan was the seamless movement of the same from one zone to the next in the same region. A former chief executive of the Volta River Authority, Dr. Charles Rekubobe, has reiterated his calls for efficiency in the service delivery by the utility companies. Though he says he agrees that electricity tariffs will have to go up, he describes demands for a 300% increase as absurd. Officials of the Electricity Company of Ghana contend increases in the price of their inputs and rising cost of producing power have necessitated the demand for the increase. But Dr. Rekubobe says there is need for service providers to justify the numbers they are proposing and for the various elements of their demand to be thoroughly investigated.
Increase in tariffs, there's also then there's another one later on. But even before then and after that, the problem has always been, the relationship between the tariff and the promise to deliver better quality. That has always been, and I deliberately have set out here by saying that the alternative to electricity is too horrible to contemplate. And I don't want anybody to go around saying that, we are paying too much for power. My argument is that we should pay the right price for power. There are policy issues involved, and we need to address all those policy issues. But at the heart of it all is a quality issue. And that's why I'm saying that, look, even if you grant tariff increases today, it will take 2 or 3 months for it to come up. So you're not going to address that issue. If indeed government owes my former corporation a lot of money, my suggestion would be to government, pay the money now. Pay the money now so VRA can buy the crude oil. Because, infrastructurally, VRA has licked, if not in a permanent way, the capacity and the production capacity issue. It is now, can you buy the crude? And when will West Africa gas pipeline come to offer some relief to Asogle and the other stuff so that you can reduce your crude oil bill? So these are all issues which, for me, suggest that even though the tariffs increases must be granted, we should look at the developments in the next 3 to 4 months in the light of all of these things which are coming in. And whilst we are looking at that, I don't want government to say we are buying crude oil for VRA. I want government to say that we are paying VRA what we owe them. We took a policy decision about 15 years ago or longer that additional capacity to our power generation system shall be by IPPs. That suggests to us that we are not expecting our current national producers to be playing a growing role in this whole business. So my position is this: if IPPs are going to be the future growth, then as and when they come on board, we are going to take account of the cost. But if we start operating as if we expect VRA to keep expanding generation, or we expect ECG to keep contracting IPPs outside of a strategically planned national thing, that for me is a problem. Because the way that VRA has traditionally done things, that policy changed that. We gave them the power to do generation. We established a separate entity from VRA. Track these huge.
Really? You're watching the Joy News at 8 here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're back with more stories. Don't go away. The government has refuted suggestions the former airport security chief arrested in the U.S. on drug-related charges is a financier of the National Democratic Congress. Addressing journalists at today's briefing at the Flagstaff House, Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister Murtala Mohammed said Solomon Adelakwe has not financed the NDC and is not known by the party as such. He says Cabinet, meanwhile, is pushing for a number of amendments, including a broadening of the scope of the Whistleblowers Act and the introduction of a national local development policy to enable district assemblies venture into revenue generation activities.
Responding to claims by the NPP General Secretary, Murtala Mohammed asked that he should go to the security agencies if he has information they do not have.
The decision to award that contract was not determined by government. It was determined by the airport management company. They determined who should. And one of the reasons he gave was that the man was a financier of NDC. We don't know. We don't know. He has not financed NDC. And indeed, how would NDC want to give out someone who was a financier to the same government? In fact, the Americans have made it very clear that the arrest was effected through the collaboration they had with the security agencies in Ghana. And that point must be made very clear. So the contract was not in secrecy. It was through tender, and that contract was awarded, except that probably the General Secretary has some information we do not have. And I would advise that if he has any information we do not have, as a responsible secretary of a party, the most responsible thing he should do is to give the information to the security agencies.
On the amendments being pushed by Cabinet, he said the new development policy will empower districts to undertake developmental projects, whilst the Whistleblowers Act will ensure that every organization whose activity is of public interest is susceptible to prosecution if they default.
You realize Ministry of Local Government indeed has come out with what we call the composite budgeting. This one would augment that idea that private partnership be involved and the local authorities focus not only on their administrative and legislative responsibility, but also look at diverse ways through which they can bring about some economic development at the local governance level.
Also, the Anti-Terrorism Act is to be amended to allow Ghana determine categorization of organizations whose assets can be frozen when found to be in support of terrorist acts. Categorization of such organizations is currently specified by the United Nations Security Council.
And staying with narcotic bust, another Ghanaian, Mustafa Isaka Ziko, 41, from a suburb of Accra, has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for conspiring to import heroin to the United States. Ziko was found guilty on January 25th, 2013, after a 3-day trial. He was one of the ringleaders of a multi-kilogram heroin trafficking organization in Ghana. He was sentenced in May, but his term would be followed by 5 years of supervised release for conspiring to import heroin from Ghana into the United States. He was also ordered to forfeit $110,000. Counsel for the petitioners in the ongoing election petition hearing, Philip Addison, today continued with his cross-examination of the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwadwo Afari-Gyan, with a focus on the considerations that went into the decision to print excess pink sheets and ballot papers. Ms. Addison also sought to exact a concession from the star witness or the second respondent that the pink sheets were giving serial numbers for a reason. At the end of the proceedings, however, a spokesperson for the petitioners and respondents sought to claim some minor gains.
Addison noted that apart from the ballot papers, pink sheets and ballot boxes were assigned serial numbers for specific purposes, but Dr. Afari-Gyan disagreed, explaining the numbers were not necessarily serial numbers. Thus, they were not unique in themselves to any polling station. Dr. Afari-Gyan told the court the pink sheet numbers were for the purposes of counting how many pink sheets had been printed. Philip Addison then sought further clarifications on whether the number on the ballot papers amounted to numbers printed. Dr. Afari-Gyan replied in the negative, explaining that ballot papers are sensitive materials in the sense that if they fall into the wrong hand, they will corrupt the outcome of the election, and as such must be treated differently from other things.
Now, Dr. Afari-Gyan, how will you classify a situation where C3 is less than C1?
Well, my lord, the indication would be that some people were not medically verified, but that would be subject to further analysis to see whether it was correct or not.
Mr. Addison also tried to pin the EC chairman down to exactly when the order for the ballot papers was given in a bid to counter reasons earlier given for the decision to print excess ballot papers and pink sheets.
What I'm saying is that instead of printing the same form a second time, where you had indicated the names, you'd have left it blank, if indeed you were expecting additional candidates.
My Lord, I cannot understand the blank aspect of it.
So the reason you gave for the extra set being that there were more candidates is simply false.
I disagree with you.
Otherwise, you would have continued with those additional candidates, or at best, you would have had a blank form.
My Lord, I don't understand that.
Philip Addison was not happy at all when Dr. Farijan refused to accept that the numbers on the pink sheets served more than the purpose of giving information about the number of pink sheets which were printed. In a very harsh tone, Philip Addison questioned the purpose for which both the petitioners and respondents were in court. The news team caught up with the spokespersons of the petitioners and respondents for some explanation.
His position is very clear that serial numbers have nothing to do with determining the validity or otherwise of the ballot itself. The polling station code, the polling station number. On the question of foreign registration, he revisited the position, and his position was very clear that yes, there were some duplication in the original, preliminary registration outside there, but at the point of vote in Ghana, there was only the final register that was very clean. There was no duplication.
These serial numbers are actually done by contract. The person who is asking for the sheets to be made will have to authorize the printer. It is not done at will, contrary to what he is saying, that it was done by the printers. Our case is that they actually agreed, because to have it embossed on the pink sheet, you need first of all to request for it, because it comes with an extra cost. We are advised that there is a special additional equipment called a counter, which will have to be added to the printer, and that makes it at extra cost. Also, you need to agree with the printer the numbers beginning and end of each pink sheet. And therefore, it could not be possible that it was done at the instance of the printer and without any consent whatsoever.
Meanwhile, the much anticipated meeting between parties involved in the presidential election petition by the referee appointed to order the pink sheet exhibitors once again ended inconclusively. The meeting was rescheduled to Thursday because the petitioners had not been served with the content of the draft copy. Monday's hearing of the election petition had to be truncated at 2 p.m. to allow for the parties to meet with KPMG and resolve the controversy surrounding the number of pink sheet exhibits brought by the petitioners. Spokesperson of the petitioners legal team, Gloria Kufu, told Joy FM the meeting had to be rescheduled to allow them to peruse a detailed copy of the drafts presented by KPMG. She said the parties will present a written response to the draft copies on their meeting with KPMG on Thursday, after which the referee will officially inform the court about the outcome of the audit. President John Mahama has reiterated the NDC won the December 2012 elections cleanly and fairly, and that he is optimistic justice will be served to affirm the claim. The president called on the executives of the party at their headquarters at Kukulumeme here in Accra.
I thought that there wasn't a finer time than today, marking the 21st anniversary of our party, to visit the party office and to express my appreciation for the work that is going on, and to encourage you to continue with the good work, and to also encourage you that our victory was won cleanly and fairly. And that justice will be served and cannot come to any other conclusion than acknowledging the very transparent, free and fair victory that we won at the election. Case continues to strengthen the base of the party, because it is the base of the party that supports government to be able to carry out the manifesto that the party took into the campaign. And so I won't say too much, but just to say that I came for us to have a little tete-a-tete just for a few minutes, and we'll continue with the work that we're doing.
In a related development, tomorrow marks the 21st anniversary of the National Democratic Congress. Party General Secretary Johnson Ezedun Ketia says the celebrations of the anniversary will be low-key until the ongoing election petition hearing challenging the legitimacy of the president is over. He used the occasion to wish flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, who is said to be in the UK for a routine medical checkup, a speedy recovery.
We want to pray that the party called NDC will grow from strength to strength. On this occasion, let us also extend our prayers to the flag bearer of MPP in the 2012 election. We've been told that he's not too well. We still recognize that we are all fallible human beings. We can all fall sick one day. And so we want to pray for his speedy recovery, and also pray that when he recovers, he would have the courage to revise that theory of all die be die. Otherwise, if it is a pleasant theory, then when you are sick, it is one form of death, so you don't need to go to hospital. So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank our numerous food soldiers across the country. I want to urge them to keep the fire burning. And to conclude, I want all of you to join us in this celebration. The bigger celebration will come after the court verdict. We got the information that the leader of the party wants to pay us visit. Next time, if the founder gives us information that he's paying us a visit, we welcome him in like manner. NDC yemi eba fegbe ye, NDC yemi eba fegbe ye.
In other news, the Counsel group will officially start desilting 150,000 cubic meters of waste from 12 kilometers of storm drains in Accra on Tuesday, June 11. This comes after the group signed a memorandum of understanding with government on Monday. It marks the beginning of the first phase of the Accra Sanitary Sewer and Storm Water Drainage Alleviation Project, which is expected to last 5 years.
Authorities say the Accra Sanitary Sewer and Stormwater Drainage Alleviation Project is an intervention to end the perennial flooding of the capital. The project, which is in 2 stages, is expected to restore the Kole Lagoon, construct priority drains and storm sewers, as well as dredge and cover existing drains.
The project will provide 20 trucks and 3 loaders. This will be for use by AMA. That is intended to augment the effort of the private waste collectors we know in this country. Then the next stage is the 1B, which also involves approximately 500,000 cubic meters of Kole Lagoon dredging. We also will be doing 6 kilometers of priority drains. They would include the Mateheko drain, Mamponsi drain, South Kaneshi drain, and the Odona drain.
Parliament in October last year approved a loan of $663 million to finance the project, but Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing Collins Dauda says the Conti Group will pre-finance the project whilst government secures the loan. Mr. Dauda, together with his local government and rural development colleague Akwesi Oponfosu, signed on behalf of government, whilst President of Conti Africa Shimon Misrachi signed for the contractors.
Business News is up next. The Bank of Ghana is assuring of adequate supply of dollars for the operations of commercial banks. This is coming after many banks reported of inadequate supply of the foreign currency. According to them, the situation is making it difficult for them to meet the demands of some foreign currency account holders. But the regulator argues this could be as a result of some banks not complying with the measures introduced last year to check dollarization. These include key interest rate hikes, change in bank reserve requirements and bond auctions to mop up excess liquidity. The banks have, however, called for a review of the measures because they are badly affecting their operations. A manager at one of the hotels targeted in a distress action today by officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority took out his fury on some newsmen invited to cover the exercise. The Mesvig Grand Hotel, which was about to be closed down for falling back on its taxes, was spared after management came up with some last-minute settlement. PH Hotels and AF West International Security Limited, both in Accra, were however not so lucky. The GRA is hoping to retrieve some 2.7 million Ghana cedis in tax liabilities this month through such distress actions.
Let's lock the door, please. Let's lock the door, please.
Management of the Mesvig Grand Hotel in Accra could not hide their fury upon noticing the cameras following the debt management and compliance enforcement team of the GRA. The manager of the hotel, Stephen Williams, threatened the media not to take shots of the premises and in his agitation assaulted one reporter from the Daily Guide. But the police were on hand to salvage the situation.
We have to be arrested. Touch me. We have to arrest him. Arrest him. Who arrest him? Arrest him. We close the doors for us. We want the door closed. We are in business with them. We want the door to close. We are in business with them. You can't close the door. The police officers can't allow them.
Media men and women were not deterred. To save the hotel management from more embarrassment, they signed a check of 48,159 cedis to pay off their outstanding debt to the GRA since April 2012. The next stop was PH Hotels, which owed the GRA a whooping sum of about 314,000 cedis accumulated over a 5-year period. But the hotel was not in operations when the team arrived, but the GRA in a telephone call informed management of the closure.
There is nothing I can do. I don't have power to stop the execution of this warrant, sir. So please. You say? Yes, as I told you, the Commissioner General has signed a distress warrant to come and collect this amount. Failure to pay. Yes, I'm holding it. I have it right in my hands, sir.
Security personnel at post were asked to leave the premises while the team locked it up. AF West International Security Limited was also closed down as they had an outstanding debt of 187,678 cedis accumulated for 5 years. Though they made a part payment of 15,000 cedis, they were not pardoned. In a media briefing before the exercise, the GRA explained that all means to remind defaulters of their indebtedness were unsuccessful, hence the need to embark on the distress action.
I have issued demand notices, we call them immediate demand notices, to informing them about the indebtedness and requesting them to make payments. We have also made telephone calls to them. We have also conducted visits to convince them to pay the taxes due, and then we have again finally issued what we call the final demand notice. Then when all these have failed, then we have to move in, taking these hard enforcement actions. We do so painfully because we want taxpayers who are businesses in general to continue being in existence and even grow, so that we will reap more taxes from them, not only to recover what they owe, but also for them to pay us more taxes in future.
The GRA also called on all taxpayers to re-register and urged those who have never paid taxes to take advantage of the tax amnesty, which ends in September.
When they come forward to declare that there was so much tax I should have paid, but the Ghana Revenue Authority didn't even know about it, and therefore I'm declaring that tax liability and I'm going to make payment. Under the provisions of the Tax Amnesty Act, we will just take the tax due, voluntarily declared. Of course, we will investigate to ensure that what is declared is the actual tax due. But we will not impose any penalties. We will not charge any interest, as would normally have been the case for taxes that are in arrears.
The distress and seal-off exercise will be running this month in Accra and Tema, and subsequently in other regions, to recover all outstanding tax arrears and also deter other taxpayers from defaulting.
In some international business news, Greek stocks have plunged almost 5% after the government said it had not received any bids for natural gas from firm DEPA, marking a setback to its privatization program. Russia's Gazprom had been expected to bid for DEPA. Up next, we bring you some smart investment tips. South Africa's ex-president Nelson Mandela remains in a serious but stable condition in a Pretoria hospital, according to the latest update. The presidency said Mandela's condition was unchanged and confirmed that he was in intensive care.
Nelson Mandela's former wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, visited him on Monday. Mandela, 94, was admitted to hospital early on Saturday for the third time this year. He's being treated for a lung infection. A spokesperson for the presidency, Mark Maharaj, denied that visitors were being blocked from seeing Mandela. The presidency said Mandela had been ill for some days at his Johannesburg home with a recurrence of his long-standing lung problems. He was admitted to hospital after his condition worsened at 1:30 on Saturday.
An ex-CIA employee says he acted to protect basic liberties for people around the world in leaking details of U.S. phone and internet surveillance. Edward Snowden, 29, was revealed as the source of the leaks at his own request by the UK's Guardian newspaper.
Snowden, who says he has fled to Hong Kong, said he had an obligation to help free people from oppression. The recent revelations are that U.S. agencies gathered millions of phone records and monitored internet data. A spokesman for the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence said the case has been referred to the Department of Justice as a criminal matter. The Guardian quotes Snowden as saying he flew to stay in a hotel in Hong Kong on 20th May, though his exact whereabouts are unclear. He is described by the paper as an ex-CIA technical assistant. currently employed by Booz Allen Hamilton, a defense contractor for the U.S. National Security Agency.
And then South Sudan has accused Sudanese troops of crossing into its territory as tension between the two states rises. Information Minister Barnaba Marial Benjamin says the troops moved about 10 kilometers into the Upper Nile state. On Saturday, Sudan said it will block all exports from the south after accusing it of backing rebels fighting President Omar al-Bashir's government. But Sudanese officials now say the ban will take effect in 60 days. Oil is vital to the economies of both states. South Sudan became independent in 2011 after decades of conflict with Khartoum, and the two neighbors still disagree on several issues. That's all by way of international news.
Right, time for the very latest in the world of sports. Let's talk the Black Stars. And His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama says he's ready to help the campaign to persuade Kevin Prince Boateng, Michael Essien and the U brothers back to the Black Stars. The players who decided to stay away from the national team for a while are adamant to rescind their decision, despite efforts by the executives of the Ghana Football Association. President John Dramani Mahama, who is a strong advocate of the team reaching the 2014 World Cup, says he will help the Ghana FA talk to the players to come back.
The final thing is about the Black Stars. We had a very disastrous outing in South Africa the last time, and it broke all our hearts that we didn't progress further than we did. But I asked Ghanaians to take heart. After that, outing, I said it was not the end of the road. We should continue to give the Stars the support that they need, and I'm sure that they will bounce back. And we can all see the trend that things are building up again. There are few issues that need to be resolved. Some players are not too happy, and so have opted out. I believe that they will all come on board. I have spoken to some of the FA personalities to see how, if they need my influence to speak to some of them to come back into the team, I'm willing to do it, so that we have a Black Stars that is united, that is strong, that can continue to make Ghana proud.
All right, meanwhile, the Black Stars have already arrived in South Africa and they are preparing for the all-important game against Lesotho that will take place in Maseru on Sunday. We can talk about Inter-Allies, and they took a final step to their late ranks, confirming their place in next season's Premier League after gaining promotion today. Inter-Allies needed a single point from their last Division 1 promotion league to end the long wait for qualification for their debut in the flag football. But the Accra-based side defeated Dunbort FC 2-0 in the final playoff contest at the Linkley Stadium to record their third straight victory in the three-game series. Ilyasu Hussaini and Patrick Botis scored both goals for Inter-Allies. Meanwhile, Accra Hearts of Oak moved to 5th on the Ghana Premier League table after beating New Edubiasi United 2-1 in Bekwai this evening. Gilbert Fiamenyo and Paul Aqua ensure the win for the Phobians at the Gemfees Park in Bekwai. That will be all for sports. My name is George Adi Jr. Israel will join us with showbiz.
Right, in showbiz, Tamabass singer Danso Abiam has premiered the video for his latest track, One and Only. The video, described by its makers as Ghana's most expensive video clip, has left many wondering what makes it so. Well, a member of Danso's management team is standing by the claim and is justifying it. He says the video was shot in South Africa and several other locations, making it one in town.
Is the most expensive music video in Ghana at the moment. That is according to the gospel of Tamabass singer Danso Abiam and his management team. This video, upon its release, is supposed to blow the minds of Ghanaians because it is the most expensive music video yet to grace the local music industry. It was premiered over the weekend, and well, I guess the mind-blowing will be a gradual process. Danso Abiam in 2009 took the music industry by storm with his hit single Belly Dancer featuring Sarkodie, and the song received massive airplay as well as it becoming the toast of many entertainment centers. Danso, together with his management, are confident that their fans will love the video for One and Only. One and Only featured Stage A of Shashiwowo fame and was shot on locations in Counsel, Ghana and Cape Town, South Africa.
Now, 9-time Grammy Award winner Kirk Franklin is set to headline this year's edition of the biggest gospel concert in Ghana, Adum Praise, and indeed it is the biggest. The American gospel musician is expected to arrive in Ghana with his urban contemporary gospel choir to perform during Adum Praise, organized by entertainment powerhouse Adum 106.3 FM.
The international award-winning American gospel musician, choir director and author Kirk Franklin will arrive in Ghana to headline the 2013 edition of Adum Praise. Kirk Franklin, known for leading urban contemporary gospel choirs, will rock the concert with his 11-man band, supported by a rich lineup of Ghanaian gospel artists who are set to keep lovers of quality gospel music on their feet the whole night. The date for the 2013 edition of Adum Praise is yet to be made public, but sources are hinting that the event will likely come off either at the end of the third quarter or early in the fourth quarter of the year. We shall keep everyone posted on the latest developments on this year's Adum Praise, which won the Best Contribution to African Gospel Music Award at the African Gospel Music Awards held in London in July 2011.
Last night, the whole audience sang the song together.
And so that's what makes Adum Praise the biggest gospel concert. That's it for Showbiz. Before we go over a quick run through our top stories, Chinese nationals engaging in illegal small-scale mining have voluntarily opted to return to their home country. The former VRA chief executive has challenged utility companies to justify their claims for tariff increases that will have consumers paying more than 3 times what they pay now. Government has denied claims. The former airport security chief arrested in the US is a financier of the NDC. In cross-examination of the EC chairman in the election petition hearing continued today with questions about the essence of serial numbers on ballot papers and pink sheets. And the manager of an Accra hotel targeted in the GRA district action for tax default today assaulted one of the reporters covering the exercise. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Israelai. Good evening.